Hi guys, welcome to Music Business Today, where we give you the latest and greatest music business news.
We sure do, Kate.
We do, Hannah.
We do. And today we have a little bit about Michael Jackson. I know we promised that on the last episode, so we're leading off with that. Some info about Dr. Luke's new venture, some Shania Twain, and a little bit more, so stick around.
Bandwidth for today's show is brought to you by SoftLayer.com. We love SoftLayer here at Talkapolis. They are the greatest hosting company ever. They make everything easy. Check out their website at SoftLayer.com. Thanks again for sponsoring the show.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Music Business Today. I am Hannah.
And I'm Kane Harrison. Hannah, great to have you on board today.
Yeah, great to be back. I'm Hannah Jackson, in case you missed my last name, since he kind of...
We did promise this story, and it's a story about Michael Jackson. We promised it on the last episode, but we got so carried away with the VMAs that we just kind of ran out of time. But Michael Jackson's estate is facing a $702 million tax bill, which is...
I just think it's obnoxious. I just almost feel like the IRS is going to try to get money wherever they can. Like, I get it. There's been issues lately with different celebrities, like not reporting their proper income or whatever, but the dude's dead.
It's true, but I think that, you know, it is still, I can understand that, but it's a business. And, you know, they've definitely put his name to it. He is the brand. But what they're saying is that when they went to, you know, retrieve some of his taxes in days gone by, they've undervalued a lot of the stuff.
I think there's some discrepancies on both sides of the undervaluing, overvaluing thing, because it says here, at one point, Jackson's estate said the artist's image and likeness were valued at $2,105. And I'm not sure if that's supposed to be $1 million after that or not. I would assume so, because otherwise the numbers are way off. So, okay, whatever, 200.
I think it's
whatever million.
Yeah.
And the IRS determined the estate to be valued at $434 million. So you have, I guess, $210 million versus $434 million. Like,
yeah, a massive discrepancy. But I think that it's the old adage, and it happens in business all the time. Especially when you're making a lot of money, you pay so much tax, and it's always that top bracket of people that pay that much tax for everyone. I can understand
because they work so hard. I mean, I get it to some degree,
yes,
but at the same time.
Also, I think what happens, of course, is from the business's point of view, they say, you know, we haven't really earned that much money, and they try to cut it on the low end, and then the IRS says, no, you have, and they try and cut it on the high end and value it all as what it is. But, you know, the other thing is that his assets would have changed a lot from 2009, because 2008 was the massive crash in the market with real estate, with everything, through to now. So I'd be interested to read a little bit more about the story and seeing if it's relative, you know, or do they say, well, now your house is valued.
Well, and they're saying, like, they're not going to have to pay that unless the courts rule in favor of the IRS. So it's all going to court right now, and they don't actually have to pay that until the courts actually, you know, rule that the IRS is correct.
Well, I didn't know this, but Michael Jackson was in some serious debt as well, and so
like
the family had just managed to pay that back, and then and now they've got this problem. So, but it'll go on. It's the old way. It's the vultures chasing the.
It's one thing after the next. Well,
talking about paying back money, I've always been really curious about this.
Because you know, everyone uses, well, not everyone, but a lot of people will use Kickstarter to fund campaigns or fund different music ventures that they want to do, fund their album.
I think pretty much anything except for charity you can do.
Yeah, anything artistically related, I believe you can do through Kickstarter, aside from being like, hey, give me money for school.
Sure.
I wish you could. That would be awesome. But anyways, Best Music Writing actually raised a little over $17,000, and they said that the book, or this girl said that the book would be released this fall. And this was back in January that she raised those funds, and there's been nothing so far, and not really even word of it.
Just for you people out there who aren't familiar with Kickstarter, you go onto a website called Kickstarter and you put out your campaign. So I say I'm Kane Harrison, I'd love to make an album, I need $10,000 to make the album. And so then I start to ask for donations of anything, and I've got like 30 days to get it done, and throughout that 30 days I then offer you specific things in relation to that task for different levels of funds that get pitched. So I could say, I'm going to come, if you give me $1,000, I'll come to your house and I'll play a few songs. If you give me $10, I'll send you a signed copy of the finished product. But the catch at the end is you don't ever have to prove that you've done the project. So, which is really interesting. And Kickstarter, obviously, they're, you know,
They've had
disclaimer,
other issues with it
so
before,
to say.
yeah.
Disclaimers Kickstarter shown at the bottom of each project says, if your project is successfully funded and you are required to fulfill all rewards, so rewards being what I was talking about, or refund any backers whose rewards you do not or cannot fulfill. A failure to do so can result in damages to reputation. So it's, I've always wondered about it.
I wouldn't be happy if I helped fund a campaign and then, you know, I invested in them and they never...
Well, you're definitely liable. I mean, if
showed
you
it,
can prove that you've just taken that money, and there's a couple of other cases here as well where that has happened.
Yeah,
you know,
even
you can.
Josh Dibb from Animal Collective, like, people know who that is.
Yeah.
And he apparently never delivered on his Kickstarter campaign that he did.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. I hope it doesn't tarnish the reputation of Kickstarter because it's done some amazing things.
Well, yeah, there's been some great projects.
This tarnishes it in itself. Daphne, I think it is, who was from Best Music Writing, she wrote in response to it, "This is the love of my life and I really wanted it to work. I've been grappling with the realities that it's not going to, so it's been very painful." Well, that's all well and good, but you still owe, you know, you're still taking money from people. And a lot of these things also, the part that sort of gets on my goat a little bit is that when you go and ask for $10,000 or $12,000 to make a record, say for instance, it's mum and dad investors who are like, we really want to see you, or it's your friends, it's all these different people who chip in $20, $100, or whatever it might be, who probably can't really afford to do it at the same time. So,
because they're probably starving artists.
yeah,
as
exactly
well.
right, exactly right. So
yeah, I don't think it'll tarnish the reputation of Kickstarter. Honestly, I think really you just have to be aware of the people that you're choosing to invest in, the projects you're choosing to invest in, and as terrible as it is to say, you know, give and don't expect to get back.
Yeah, well, I think that is the biggest thing, and I think that that is the basis of a lot of the projects that go on, because there are some substantial ones. Like there was one where a female artist asked for, I think she only went on $20,000 or $50,000, ended up getting $2 million for her project. She won a bunch of awards, blah blah blah. But there's all kinds. I know that there was another one that wasn't even artist related, where they wanted to change the font in a city of like the, you know, kilometers and miles per hour and that sort of thing. So there's weird stuff, but it's kind of cool too. So there's some big stuff that goes on, and there's some big donations that get made. Most projects get off the ground. Don't let it tarnish you. So if you're local artists or actors need a boost, then help them out.
Like independent films will do fundraising through that.
Someone who doesn't need a boost is Dr. Luke, I would suggest, but he has got one because he's going to be the new judge on American Idol.
Yeah.
What do you think about it?
I'm curious to see how he works out on as a judge on there.
Well, Kira DeGuardia did it. She's exactly the same. She's a hit songwriter. Kind of the general public didn't know who she was, and actually a lot of the people who auditioned, I saw some of that year, kind of didn't really give her much creds. And I remember one.
Great, like he definitely has the knowledge.
Oh, no doubt. And she was exactly the same, and she threw it back. I remember this girl saying, "You can't sing," blah 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 blah, and she just stood up and Kira belted some stuff out because she'd written songs for everyone and absolutely nailed it. And Dr. Luke's written for and produced also for you know, a bunch of different people. Kesha, Miley Cyrus, Britney Spears, Since You've Been Gone for Kelly Clarkson, a whole bunch of people. He's on, you know, he's done it all. So
yeah,
I think
it'll be interesting watching the way he also, you know, interacts with the other two judges on there and seeing kind of the play back and forth between the three of them and their different experiences and different backgrounds in music.
I like that there's a songwriter on there. I mean, just personally, I really like that. You know, there's some, on a show like that, I think that it gives a bit more credibility to the artists themselves.
Oh, definitely.
And Philip Phillips, who won it a couple of years ago, who had great success, and he was a great songwriter. So hopefully we get another artist that's kind of like that. But he was a bit down the list because the Black Eyed Peas' Will.i.am was a contender, but he said no because he was going back to The Voice in the UK.
And supposedly Kanye, wasn't he?
Kanye was like, it's too mainstream for me.
It wasn't avant-garde enough for him.
He's Kanye.
I was reading up on some info about him the other day, and hopefully we'll get to address it in a future episode, but he's actually got a lot of interesting stuff that he's, you know, working on.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it kind of gave me a different perspective on that guy.
Well, I might need to read that because I still think he's a complete douche. But someone who's not, and someone who lives right here in Nashville, Tennessee.
Kelly Clarkson. Well, she, as everyone knows, has been planning her wedding And she's actually decided in the process of planning her wedding that she doesn't really want to have a wedding anymore. So they're going to elope.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because usually half of the point of eloping is to elope and not tell anyone. My brother and sister-in-law actually eloped and then we're like, hey, P.S., we're married now.
Wow. That's cool.
I was like, cool, it's okay. I was not living in the country, so I couldn't have gone anyways.
I think their reason behind it all was they, for people who don't know, for people who are watching this in Australia, this is something that they don't do in Australia. They send out a save the date here, which I guess, which isn't done in Australia. You just get an invitation. So like 6 months out, you'll get a thing saying save this date, knowing that that's when the wedding's going to be. Then you'll get an invitation to come to the wedding. They sent the save the date out, and a bunch of the information got leaked. That was one of the problems. And so they decided to say, well,
I didn't know that.
you know, we don't want people to know that this is what's happening and where we're going to be. So, and also that was one of the reasons. Also, Kelly's fiance, who is a manager in town here, and a pretty big deal. He has, I think, a 12-year-old and a 6-year-old. So kids are going back to school, and she's soccer mum now and all those different things. So she's just said she's releasing a Christmas album as well. He's flying all over the country with his major artists. So they've said, we've got no time for this. Let's just get on with it. Then they're going to have a massive party, which I love.
Which will be awesome. Like I think that's a great idea. Elope and then just have an awesome reception.
Well, they're having a stock the bar party, which I think is fantastic, where everyone just kind of brings a bottle of booze and gets right on it.
Never done that. That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and they also, to alert, their would-be wedding guests, they actually sent out notes to all of them that said, thank you so much for understanding, but it's going to be me and Brandon and his 2 kids and the minister. Just letting them know, like, we're not going to be having the proper wedding ceremony anymore. We've decided to elope.
I think that's cool.
So, I don't see anything wrong with it.
No fanfare. I can imagine the paparazzi and everyone that's going to be around for that, so they'll just get it done.
So what's going on with Shania?
Shania is back in the news, Shania Twain, which I guess is kind of big Nashville news, except she's lives now in Switzerland, has for years and years and years. Great tax breaks there, as we all know. But she's recently also come back. She had a reality show where they kind of did a documentary on her because she's trying to get her voice back, trying to get her songwriting back, trying to get her confidence back.
Well, she's been working on an album that I think is supposed to be coming out fairly soon.
She's been working on it for quite some time. She's had a regular gig in Las Vegas at one of the casinos, which she just got another season back for that. But she's looking for a producer now, and she kind of doesn't know which direction she wants her album to go in. She's into some kind of conflicting music. Lana Del Rey, she cannot get enough of, which I absolutely love. Lana Del Rey and the sound that come from that. And her songwriting is incredible as well. But also on the flip side, she's kind of down the Alison Krauss way. So people are like, well, is she going to end up with a T-Bone Burnett? What's going to happen? What sound is she going to go for? Because for everyone who's old enough will remember when Shania was kind of like the Taylor Swift of country music.
I guess that's true. I never really thought of it like that.
Yeah, definitely. And she was like, I guess Kenny Rogers, Dolly Parton did like this pop thing and then it went away. And then Shania Twain really broke the mold and crossed over massively. Was a major selling artist, and that kind of went away again, and then Taylor brought it back. But she's going to just have it, so it was very upbeat, but very empowering for women, I guess you could say. But this one's going to be a lot more laid back. So I'd love to hear her do like a T-Bone Burnett sort of really cool, funky, laid back Alison Krauss type record, because she's got killer vocals, and I'm sure she'd have amazing songwriters around her. But
oh well, she's definitely got the voice for it, and I'm sure she's kept up her voice. So at least I hope so.
What's going on in the Netherlands?
Well, people that perform over there need to be aware that they've been doing some underhanded kind of dealings and taking a little bit more from the artist's paycheck than what you at first would expect that they've been taking. Typically there's like a percent of box office receipts that they'll take, but in Holland the box office rate is like 7% of gigs with an income of over 1 million euros. Yeah. Which is, that's
a big deal.
Pretty decent little chunk, to be taking from box office. Plus, there's like all the, convenience fees and stuff added onto tickets and stuff. So there's already some sort of a kickback. Yeah, well, it says here that it says, however, promoters have been receiving a rebate of the published rate from local collecting societies as well, and it's not accounted for the artists. So they're kind of, in a weird way, they're kind of double selling the same tickets and getting a kickback from it. But it's been going on for 10 years.
I mean,
And they only just recently found this out.
Yeah.
Um,
So yeah, I mean, I guess they're going to try and fix it all up and make it so that the artist
they're
gets
talking
its
about
fair share again.
negotiating it and making it a little bit lower, especially for smaller events.
Yeah.
Which hopefully, I mean, they get that worked out. I'm sure people over there would love to see, mainstream artists come over there and perform and stuff. But someone doesn't want to go perform someplace when they know that they're doing an underhanded kind of way of
well, the
getting a
thing is,
kickback
I mean,
and
when
stuff.
because it's promoters and it's usually by big organisations and management and all the rest of it, it has really nothing to do with the artist. The artist says, look, the manager says, here's your schedule, we're going to the Netherlands or we're going to wherever we're going.
Like,
oh,
okay,
great,
cool.
where's my paycheck? This is what you're getting paid. So that filter that comes down, you have to be right on to what's going on. And some people are so busy with that whole touring process that the last thing that they look into.
You just would expect that they would be honest with you.
Yeah,
and
I
tell
think in
you.
the music industry, expect people not to be honest with you, as bad as that sounds. I hope for the best but plan for the worst, because unfortunately, there's not much money now to take your share of, but except for live performance and also merchandise and the like. So unless you're kind of right on it with your business now as a musician, you will get done over, and it proves that that's happening over there. So and they're saying to watch out for news on this in other territories as well, because
I'm sure they're doing a lot more digging,
I've got
investigating to see what
no
they can
doubt
find.
that is what's happening. But Hannah, that is all we have time for once again.
That's all we have. Well, make sure you find us on Facebook, find us on the internet. You can find us on our website. You can also download our phone app. It works for Android, smartphones, and iPhones.
Absolutely.
So make sure that you download that. You can catch us on there, catch us on the go.
And a bunch of other really cool shows that we've got going on at the moment. There's a health and fitness show. We do an emerging artist show.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys all know about it, but you can jump on all those pages and click the little like so you can keep up with what I'm doing, with what Hannah's doing, with what everyone else is doing. But until next time, guys, we'll see you later.